The warmest of greetings to you, and welcome to Happily Ever Teaching. This is the podcast to help you enthrall your learners in every subject under the sun using the best teaching method known to science, storytelling. To do this, we feature special guest educators who are passionately keen for your children to become amazing and successful human beings. I am storyteller Chip Cahoon, and with me today is...
Hi, my name's Rob. I work in Key Stage 2 in a school in Buckinghamshire, and I've taught all the way from Year 3 up to Year 6.
Hi, I'm Helen. I am also a teacher in Buckinghamshire, and I'm currently teaching mixed reception Year 1.
And today we are exploring learning outcomes in physical education with a retelling of Hans Christian Andersen's classic, The Little Mermaid. You can listen to the story by downloading our sister podcast, Fables and Fairy Tales, or search our website, epictales.co.uk, for The Dancing Mermaid. There you'll find a video of me telling the story that you can share with your children. And if you sign up as an Epic Educator, you'll also get a copy as an ebook or paperback illustrated by the magnificent Mario Coelho, as well as the full audiobook for you to download at any time. There are even some tips there for telling the story yourself, and a whole heap of resources to go with the lesson ideas we're about to discuss, including any extra lesson ideas that we don't have time to fit into this podcast. Right now then, let's continue our discussion with Helen and Rob and the Young Mermaid. And of course, our version of this story is not The Little Mermaid, but we've called it The Dancing Mermaid, mainly to distinguish it from the Disney representation, has to be said. But I'm hoping that there is an element of dance in the physical education that one or both of you have picked out here. Am I right?
Yes, you
Definitely.
absolutely are.
Good. Well, Rob, then let's start with you. What's the PE that you've picked out for ages 7 to 11?
It's funnily enough, it's to do with dance, and I would ask the children I was working with, probably Year 3 and 4, so kind of lower Key Stage 2, to work in small groups to compose a dance routine for two parts of the story. When the mermaid comes ashore for the first time, and then also when she's walking on her legs and it's really painful.
Right.
So they would have to think about the tempo, what kind of music they might want to use, what kind of movements they want. How are they going to use, if they're in groups, the other characters? Are they all going to take on the role of the mermaid, or are they going to be other characters from those parts of the story? How are they going to recreate in dance this form?
So there's an element of music as well then, thinking about the tempo and the choice of music and theme. Yeah,
and I think out of all of the kind of PE areas, that kind of dance and gymnastics do lead themselves link quite nicely to areas of music as well. It is possible to dance without music, I know, because I've done it, but it's a lot easier to do it with music.
And pain certainly helps with that. I mean, I've done a few dances when I've stubbed my toe on something.
Absolutely.
So I can kind of understand how the young mermaid ends up looking like a dancer.
Yeah, there we go. So, and thinking about it, the music for the second piece, when her legs are in pain, would be kind of more short, sharper, more staccato, if you like, if you want to use musical language.
Yeah, more frenetic.
Absolutely. So that's what I came up with.
To add to that in terms of early years, but I think it's also relevant to Key Stage 2. Some ideas that have been shared with me by Abby, our podcast colleague around dance. So she's made a couple of suggestions about introducing children. Well, firstly, we start with the idea of emotions in dance and helping children to understand that dances can express emotions by showing them some dance. Like you can use either a live performance if you're able to, or you can just use YouTube videos to watch maybe contemporary dancing. I don't know much about dancing, but I do know that there's a way you can express a lot of different emotions using contemporary dance. So help children to watch these performances and talk about them and respond to them. And then create their own dances. And similarly to what Rob was saying, using pieces of music that might help them to sort of feel those different emotions and then express them through movement. And with younger children, I would start off just letting them be very free with their dancing, just encourage them to listen to the music first, and then encourage them just to move in the way that the music makes them feel. So if you carefully selected some different pieces of music, you could help them to express those different emotions. And then something else that Abby pointed me in the direction of was the idea that actually you can dance without legs. So looking at some people that dance using their wheelchairs, or people that don't have the use of their legs. And there is, I'll put it on the planning because I can't find it just now. She pointed me in the direction of an organisation that can tell you more about that. And again, the children can watch some videos of that just so that they can understand how life might be different if you don't have the use of your legs, but actually how you can still dance, you can still express your emotions through dance and music. So those were a couple of ideas linked to what Rob was saying.
Definitely. And Helen, you mentioned there how many of your notes came from our fellow contributor, Abby,
yes.
One of the arts and education advisors for Festival Bridge in the east of England. We are very grateful to Abby for sending so many notes in at the last minute, and also very grateful to you, Helen, for stepping in for her at the last minute, because we know it's sadly the big C of the last couple of years that has prevented her from being here with us today. So thank you to the both of you.
Okay, no problem.
And a little bit of dance-esque stuff going on there. One partner steps out and the other partner steps in.
Absolutely.
Just thinking about the music that you said that you would choose, Helen, how broad would you go with your musical selections? Would you stick to just classical and pop, or would you throw in like thrash metal, electronic dance music?
I suppose, Rob, it entirely would depend on what mood I was in today. I think it is a good opportunity to introduce children to some well-known classical and classical pieces. For this, I think I would choose those.
Okay.
That's all we have time for in this episode, folks. And do you know what? I've just realised we missed a trick. We could have done our first ever podcast on swimming, because that's a PE thing, isn't it? Anyway, well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on everything we've discussed in this podcast. So please find us on social media using @TeachHappily, or leave us a review using your favourite podcast app. You can also use social media to let us know if there's a subject you are soon to teach that you'd like us to cover. We would love to help. Please also share this podcast with your colleagues and help us start a story-led revolution in classrooms around the world, so children everywhere can learn in a way that's effective, memorable and enjoyable all at the same time. Tomorrow, the young mermaid will help us teach religious education. But right now, it only remains for us to say cheerio, and we hope to hear your story soon. So,
cheerio! And we hope to hear your story soon.